Hello and welcome to the Noise Filter podcast. This week we have Steve Strong. Hello, Steve. How you doing? You alright?
Mate, yeah, I'm good. Thanks. How are
Cool.
you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we were just sort of talking a minute ago about how much I love your album, and yeah, it's really excellent. If anyone hasn't heard it, could you describe what you sort of do and what they can come to expect from listening
Uh,
to your music?
yeah, sure. So, I basically live. I use a loop station, and I use guitar, bass, and drums, and just an RC 300 loop station by Boss, and just a delay pedal. It's called a Nemesis by Source Audio,
Yeah,
and that's it. And then I basically build up layers of sounds, generally starting with guitar, then adding bass, and then drums to make it a sort of one-man band sort of thing. And then recorded wise, it's kind of the same process, but there's obviously more scope for adding other layers and stuff. So I guess it's somewhere in the middle of like post rock meets sort of trip hop, with a little bit of like stuff like Aphex Twin and Bonobo and some like more like breakbeat IDM stuff. So it's like
yeah,
an eclectic mix of stuff. A lot of people call it like shoegaze as well as like post rock or trip hop, or so it's like, yeah, it can be interpreted. Well, I guess it takes many different styles and sort of blends them together.
yeah. On the musical Venn diagram. You sort of hit a lot of points, don't you? There's lots of like stuff. I mean, I hear certain things when I listen to it, and I like hear some influences of things that I really love, and I think that's and I guess that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Yeah,
But when you say all those things, like I would never kind of come up with those as the genres, and it's really weird because I would never think of like how to put you in a genre because
yeah. Oh,
it's
that's
really weird. It's quite almost undefinable, and yet it draws influence from so many different types of music that I love. I went to see Tom York do Anima in Santa Barbara Bowl, and there's like loads of stuff that's going on in that, like loads of this kind of sort of soundscaping that I kind of just like, hear little bits of like stuff that I think, oh yeah, I bet you love that. And there's like,
you know,
yeah,
I think The Razor's one of the best albums ever made, man. Like,
yeah, I love that album. It's a dream, that album, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I was you were like, when I started this podcast, you were one of the first people that I was really keen to come chat with, and it's taken us like like
Yeah,
years. That
yeah, that's mainly my fault, I think, through timing.
Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's hard to make time for these things. So, how did you get started? What was your origin story?
So I started playing drums in school just to try to stay out of trouble, I guess. I never really had any lessons on anything, so I played drums in bands. I joined a school band, like a band of two other guys in school, and we started with. I was mad into like Stereophonics and Manic Street Preachers, and like when I was like 13, 14, so I started learning like songs from the Holy Bible by
Oh,
Manic.
Holy Bible, yeah,
Still now, man. Not really into Stereophonics anymore, but there was
yeah,
definitely a stepping stone like that. So I started that, and then I met a different group of people and started playing in like a really heavy Plymouth band called Vaya, which is like 24 years ago now.
yeah.
Uh, and then got into like found like Rage Against the Machine, and then like Square Pusher and Aphex Twin, and my mind just got blown. And then up as well like lots of like Mahu Vishnu Orchestra and King Crimson and like
Nice.
Dan and stuff like that, like creeping in from my dad's influences. So I started on drums, and then it's about 10 years ago now. I basically was in a band. We were a band called Elliot Whaleboy, and we were a local band, and we did really pretty astonishingly well for a younger band, and we ended up getting like major label offers and stuff, which we didn't want to do because we didn't want to sell out because we were like 16, 17 at the time, and we thought we were punk. And then I basically realized music is my passion, and it's what I believe like is always there for me, and it's something that lifted my confidence as a person. It like made me like meet lots of new people. So I worked really hard at that band for 10 years. And this was before Facebook, and it was like the
Yeah,
MySpace era sort of thing. So it was amazing being able to reach out so far, and it kind of, it was just what I wanted to do, and I drove it so hard. But then you have five other members, and then you know what it's like being in a band, man. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
let's do this, and then you ask him, and it's like, I can't do that, or they have a different opinion about the songs that you write, and take it one way and another, and in the end, kind of ground to a bit of a halt. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And my friend had this loop station, and he was like showing me it, and I was just like, I need to get myself one of these. So I actually bought it off him. It's like a Boss RC25 XL.
yeah.
And then I
Is that
started.
is that the 5 pedal one?
No, it was just the
The
two
Jew.
pedal.
Yeah,
Uh, the five pedal one is the one I've got now. But yeah, it was just a basic one. So I started doing that, and then I kind of tried my hand at guitar, and I just approached it in a way that made sense, like rhythmically. I found a few little places that sound nice together, and generally finger tapped so it made a lot more sense for me. And then with the loop station, it enables you to build up simple layers, which I still do now on guitar. I wouldn't rate myself as, I wouldn't really call myself a good guitar player, but I've got these simple chords that I can build, and then I know that this place on the guitar, like 12, sounds good up here over that, and so it just built from there really. And I started playing. I played my first gig in 2007 at downstairs at the Voodoo Lounge in Plymouth,
yeah,
and then I was just hooked on it, man. And I never practice or sit and work stuff out, but like I just do it in the moment, and then it's different every time. But then obviously I've got better at it and I've refined it, but really through playing live is how I've refined it.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm 2014. I decided that I can conquer the world with it, and just went avoid because it's only me. It's financially a bit more viable to actually make a bit of money out of it when you're getting 50 or £100 a show. You know what it's like. You sell a few T-shirts,
yeah,
and there's only one person to split it at the end, and it's you. It's like it was viable, so I did that for 3 years, man. I played 200 shows a year, and that's when I wanted to be in this music scene that I admired. Like I found like Hella, and I don't know if you know of a band called Hella and
no, I
Lightning.
don't.
No,
No.
they're like a really cool two-piece math rock band. I found like math rock and post rock,
Yeah,
and so I watched it from afar and all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. And my favorite band was a band called Toe, who are a Japanese post rock band. So yeah, I was like, right, I can do this. So I just was trying to get gigs, was trying to get things to do, made an album which took about 4 years, and no one really gave a shit. And then I got billed for a festival called Arctangent Festival,
yeah.
which,
That's perfect festival for you, isn't it?
yeah, it's like niche, but it's got the people there are really, they really like live for that sort of stuff. So as soon as I got onto that, I played in front of about 4,000 people, and then all of the people I've been emailing for years started emailing me and being like, "Yo, do you want to gig here and here?" So I just like grabbed that and just rolled with it, and I ended up playing. I did an American tour. I did like pretty much every country in Europe, France like six or seven
Wow.
times, Ireland, and I just drove around in my little Mark IV Golf, playing gigs and sleeping on people's sofas, and it sort of taught me a lot, man. It taught me it. It's a really I like quite an anxious, shy person anyway, so it like took a lot for me to do it. But then when you're out in a different country, you're relying on these people that
Yeah,
essentially are bringing you there because they feel something from your music, and they want to reach out to you. They want to do something for you and do something to make them feel good and show their friends, and then like you're relying on them, and then they offer you some food, and they let you sleep in their bed, and they go and sleep on the sofa. They buy you like fresh socks and stuff, and it just made me be able to fully like appreciate and like take like human kindness and like that connection that connects people with music. It's like I really felt that then, and it's like it's a really addictive thing. Like I can't still stop to play now, even though I have a full-time job and a 9-year-old daughter, and it's like that's still my biggest passion. So
yeah.
yeah, it's like it's just that's where it all started, and it just has just grown, and now 10 years has gone by, and you're like, shit, I'm like getting old now, but but yeah, it's just music's such an incredible thing to bring people together, and like, you know, when you listen to a song and you're like, fuck, I can hear that he likes this. Like you said to me before we started this, you're like,
Yeah.
I can hear this, and I was like, I fucking love like Tommy. It's like, and you can go to someone and go, man, do you listen to this and this? And they're like, yeah, I fucking love that.
Love that as well. Yeah.
Straight away, it's like you can go. I went and did some shows in South America, like in May last year, and I went all the way across literally the other side of the world, and I was sat chatting to someone like they were like one of my friends, like, and
Yeah.
that connection, because it's hard to explain, but music just really brings people together, and
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I love that shorthand that you can become friends with somebody on a very small basis of agreed knowledge, can't you? You can be like,
yeah, man.
oh man, I love this. This is excellent, and you'd be like, oh, I haven't heard that. I'll check that out, and then it just starts this like whole. Yeah, I really love that as well. I came up. It's funny you said 2007 because that was basically when I was living in Plymouth, and that's when I knew about. That's when I heard about you, Voodoo Lounge,
No way.
White Rabbit, stuff like that. Was like I remember you playing. Did you support some? Who did you support down the White Rabbit? I want to say someone really weird. I want to say like Seth Lakeman or something, but I don't think it was. I think I saw you supporting somebody odd down the White Rabbit that I wouldn't have put the two of you together, and I think that's how I sort of found out about you.
Ah.
So that's like 13 years of just sort of knowing about somebody. It's really weird, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't realize how far things can go, and how far away and people know about you. And like, I'm not one of these guys that's like, I don't know. I'm not saying that everybody's like that, but a lot of people, they really like revel in this. I'm in a band and people like my music, but like I don't really think of it like that. So then it's always surprising, like what you just said surprises me. But like that is just the nature of music, and I think if it's good and it's honest and it has soul, which is another probably completely different podcast about
Yeah.
music that just doesn't hold any meaning, and then there's music that you really feel, and even if it's not your thing, like
Yeah.
you still feel that. And like I think that's the whole point, in like the honesty and the feeling that somebody feels like they know you in a way, because they're feeling there's something that you're giving off through
Yeah.
play. And that's, yeah, it's just something I think about a lot. I think it's a really special thing, man, like a
Yeah.
feel something. And yeah,
No, I love that. There's a real strange one-sided relationship, isn't there? Because like somebody that listens to your music, I mean, I listen to your music, and like this is the first time we've properly chatted, but like there's a sort of an element of you're offering something, you're creating this thing, and it's like you're making a little piece of yourself and you're presenting it, and then
That's it,
I
man.
get an opportunity to listen to that, and I can sort of have that in my space, and I can listen to that, and I can like there's a connection, even though you don't really feel that connection, but I feel it from my perspective because I'm the one listening to it. But you're offering it, and there is that connection, and there's that sort of there's a bit of like community to it. It's really like a fascinating thing, isn't it? And you can have people that are like your fans, and it's really weird because like in the band I've got, like there are people that kind of go, "Oh, I love your album," and I think, well, I probably haven't listened to my own album. I've probably listened to it like a handful of times because I finished it and put it to bed. It was a very hard process for me to record, and so consequently afterwards I was just like, oh, I'm done now. I don't need to listen to that, and and that's really strange having that one-sided relationship. But also it's a beautiful thing because it's like, you put something out there, and it's like people can listen to it and interpret it how they want, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And I came to see you do the Haunt the Woods gig, and there was like moments where I just like would just sit and like sort of close my eyes, and I just kind of go into this like really lovely, like just like, oh, it's such great sort of soundscape, sort of like it could just, it's really like evocative music. And then I saw you do that gig recently where you played over a film, and I was just like, this is it. This is the sweet spot, isn't it? The magic. It's like the combining of those two things is really really excellent. I kind of almost imagine you'd make the perfect accompaniment to like you should definitely get into like scoring films or something. That would be.
It's just that how do you get into those
I
things?
know, I know. Well, you need to be like Johnny Greenwood or something, don't you? Or
Yeah, that's the thing that I want to. I recognize that it would be great for film and media,
yeah,
but I can't find an avenue in really. I think it's quite controlled, like most of the music industry is, like on a
yeah,
higher tier. But it'd be great to do something like that. And I did some scores of on my own of like I'll send it to you later. It's like Wally. I did.
Oh, awesome! I think I saw you do. I think I saw one of those, and it's
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant.
power and like that's just so much fun. Like, making music specifically for like me film and stuff is just so much fun. I
Yeah.
got really into it. I think I spent like 6 hours just doing it, and it's only like a 2 minute clip or something. But oh, that's my alarm saying to message to get ready to speak to you, even though I was an hour. It's like don't forget you
Don't
keep,
forget.
yeah, not again.
Yeah, no, it's easily done. I well, when I used to watch the BBC, there would be sometimes when Fortet would be on, like as the like some they would have him as like there's little sections where they put like someone who was in charge of music on the BBC for a little while, which just had the greatest selection of like awesome unheard of tunes. And there was times when I'd hear like Fortet on there and go, this is awesome, or like Nick Drake or someone really weird, and just think whoever that is really in tune with what I love.
A lot of, like retail because my girlfriend works. Well, she used to work for H&M, and they've got some fucking sick music in H&M, and it's all like under like unsigned people and like emerging stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
sounds like Fortet or like Flying Lotus or something. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Just, I think retail and adverts and stuff do go for that obscurity in music, like something that isn't like that stupid ukulele song over everything.
Well, I
Which,
think there's a lot to be said for like discovering something, isn't there? And having that like getting
Yeah.
somebody and going like this could be a bit this could be our thing, Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think you would be excellent for something like that. There are places you can put your music and they will like sort of potentially use it for stuff like that.
yeah,
And I think
I've signed up to a few, like Music Bed being one of them. I think it's the most talked about, but I haven't had anything so far, man.
yeah, it's a real shame that you're sort of an untapped, a marvel, So, what's your so for people that like come and see you, what can they expect from your show? What is it?
Generally, it's like something that they haven't seen before. I don't really think after 10 years of doing it, there's actually anyone that does it quite like I do. So it's like you'll see me make you something from scratch. It's like watching like a chef cook music or something. It's like
Yeah,
and the way that I play, and like I say, I don't really rehearse. So it's like I'm in that moment with you, and it's like whatever's happened or whatever feel is in that place. It like obviously, you absorb some of that, and then you kind of perform accordingly. So it's like you'll see some build up of like layers, and you'll probably see me playing drums in a way that isn't that normal either, because once you're in a loop, it's looping and like you can't change it, but then you can change your expression of stuff on drums. So like it's not your average there's music and there's a drummer like playing along to it and getting everything note perfect. It's almost like being on a knife edge. It can go wrong or it can go right. So it's like, and if you make a mistake when you're writing the loop and it's recording and you've made a timing mistake or an extra note, or then you have to learn that. So like
yeah,
people are like, you look so pissed off when you play. It's just like you sit there and if you look happy while you're doing it, like
yeah.
you'll see like something that's recreated on the spot and open and like and you won't see that again. Even from me, you won't see that exact same performance or energy or probably the same arrangement of notes or the same arrangement of beats. So it's like you'll just see something that's quite intense rhythmically but also quite ethereal and chilled most of the time according to the feedback I have. I think no matter what music people like, they can still enjoy it. So I've played like essentially Weatherspoons in like Ireland and stuff, and people still get mesmerized by it, man. It's got this like almost haunting, sort of mesmerizing appeal to it, which a lot of people say to me. Like you kind of
Yeah.
said similar words as well. Like, makes people just want to be and listen, and that's really
Yeah.
something that's really cool, and it's something that I know I've got in the belt. I know that it does that to people. So it's like
It's
that's
hypnotic, isn't it? Almost to
that's
a degree.
that's the word that people use. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you'll see something or feel something maybe that you've not really felt before at a live show. I know, yeah, bands can easily do that too, but just sort of laying it from the bare bones upwards, like, is something that it's like you can probably feel that like delicacy of it, and that like sort of people were like, oh, I was really fucking nervous for you when you started playing and stuff, and it built up and it was like shit or whatever. Like it, like it's a bit different than watching a full band, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I watched a guy called Chris Corsano play, and I've only ever watched. I've never really been into like watching a drummer play, but like the two drummers well, it's free. Adam Betts is probably another drummer I love watching, but
So
he's awesome as well. But Chris Corsano, you and Adam Betts are like the three drummers that I will just happily just sit and watch. You know,
nice.
for like an hour and a half. It was like a long time to watch someone sort of effectively do some drumming, but
Yeah,
it's not. It's like a sort of spinning plates almost. You know, there's like this sort of and like the stuff I watched you do. You know, like sometimes you like sort of like taking your guitar and like grinding it on the or whatever. Like it's all kinds of crazy stuff, and I just sit there going like. I know that pedal. I know that. I know the. Is it like the Boss ME50 or something, which has got like the reverse?
that for most of the time. I've just swapped it out for like just a Nemesis delay pedal.
Yeah,
But yeah, that everyone's like, man, that fucking pedal shit. Like, and then like,
it's a really weird pedal, isn't it? Because like my friend had it, and my friend, a guy called Joe Webb, had it, and he had it years and years ago. And I was a big advocate of like I want to have like a bespoke vintage delay, and I want to have like a and I had all these wanky pedals, and I was a bit of a pedal wanker, and he had this pedal, and he had that pedal, and like he would just make it do stuff, and I go, how does that? How do you make that noise? And it'd just be like, oh, just bang bang bang, and it was excellent.
yeah, man, they're good. Like the distortion is shit, but like the delays and the modulations on it are actually pretty fucking. They're just clean and
Yeah,
clear. That's how I like my music to sound, is like crisp and clear and almost icy, like that sort of Fortet Rounds
yeah,
feeling. And don't know if you know a band called Minus the Bear.
no,
No, I'll have to link you some stuff, man. But they had,
yeah. I reckon I got some
yeah.
learning to do.
But yeah, that I use that forever, and it's funny, man, because like you say, you get like these pedal geeks, and they're like, and they come up to like the stage before I play and go to have a look, and then they're just like, oh, it's like, yeah. So I like kind of push that because I think the way I'm most recognised is like math post rock, and it's a very niche little genre of like lads with Telecasters
Yep.
and little mustaches and stuff. But they fucking love it, and it's just like I play in 4/4, I fucking
Yeah.
use ME50, and
Yeah.
I can still get through to him. So I'll just like milk it. I'll be like, yeah, I played this in 4/4 on my ME50. Here you go, and it's just like, yeah, it's funny, man. Music nerds. Like,
Yeah, there is a
expecting-
music snobbery, isn't there? There is a certain amount of that.
and then it gets to crunch time, and they come and look at what I've got, and they're just like, oh, and they're just disappointed.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like, because when I sit and listen to you, I'm like listening to some of the stuff that you're doing. I just sat there going like, how do you make that noise? What is that? And there's a little part of me which is like just trying to work out what the kind of and it's just obviously it's just some delay, isn't it, or something? There's
Yeah,
some
so this Nemesis pedal is literally, I just use it, and it's got a helix on it, which I just thrown all over that album, and people are like, man, I really like the synth in that album, and it's like, it's just a fucking, just a helix setting. I turn that down, and then there's like reverse delays, and like just a standard tape delay, and that's it. I just use that now. It's just
Yeah.
gone from being the ME50 to just a delay pedal, because that's really all I use is delays. I
Yeah.
had a bass quite recently, and yeah, before I kind of did it in points, but now I realise it like it adds a lot more to the music, to like the richness of it and the layers. And so it's like, yeah, I'm starting to play bass more now. I played bass on every song on that album, which the album I did before, I kind of got one of my friends to do it. So I like challenged myself, like I'm going to make some bass lines that aren't just like root notes.
Yep.
And yeah, I think, so it's like, it's still evolving, but I like to keep it. People are like, man, get Ableton and fucking, you're going to like, you could do some crazy shit on Ableton, but it's like, I like working within limitations and with like hardware. It's like,
Yeah.
it feels like that's the sweet spot for me. It's like, I know I could do more and more and more and make it more complicated. But the first, that show you watched me play the soundtrack to was the first time I looped drums.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I don't need that. I'm just going to go back to what I did before. Because I was like, yeah, and drums is going to be like, looping drums is going to open everything up. And then I'm like, nah, it's not needed. I'm just going to... I think I've done that a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get a synth. And I got like a mini micro Korg. And I was like, nah, I don't need this. I'm just going to take it out again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. I like to just stay at the bare minimum of what I need to do it. I think that just feels like more natural and more, I don't know.
Authentic, maybe, or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think there's you could go down that like rabbit hole of like you say, you know, getting all these things and getting all this stuff involved, but actually the stuff that I think is your sound is what you do. You know, that stuff is that those limitations are like, the minute I got more stuff, actually I was much worse. When I had like a strip, yeah, just
like, and it's like your brain's like, yeah, loads of new stuff, and it's gonna be awesome, and then you're like, shit, I don't know what to do with it, like, and there's only so much space, like sonically and like frequency wise, that you can fit into a piece or a song or guitar tone before it sounds like
shit.
And you're not sure, like, you know, you get to a point in music when you're writing it, you're like, is this good or is this fucking shit? And it's like, I think the more things I have, the harder it is for me to find if it's something I should go with or something. Yeah, I remember once when I got like a super band, like I got like Simon Dobson, I don't know if you know of him.
Yes, yeah.
And like
was it Joe Biddle and Cat
like,
Marsh? Was it the Wolf Band or something?
No, I did some, yeah, they did that, but I just basically took it live and got like loads of people to play on top of it, and it just, for like 20 seconds it sounded like the Mars Volta, and then for the rest of it was just like everybody was just fucking playing too much over everybody, and it was just almost embarrassing, man. And then yeah, I've tried to be like, people are like, you should play with a band. I've got another band after that, a guitarist and a bassist, but it's the whole thing that's so like addictive about this is challenging yourself to just do it on your own.
Yeah.
And it was like that, like recording the album, I could have got more people in, but I was like, no, I'm going to do it all. And then I know that was all me, and then it's out, and that is truly like just a reflection, or like a piece of me that's out there. Is in that way, it's kind of pure. There's no like tainting this from other people's ideas or sounds or tones or anything. So it's like, that was really important for me to do that. And I sat there, and when we were mixing it, and you know what it's like writing music, man, and playing music, you can't hear your own music in an objective way. You just can't. But
no,
for this album I did, man. I sat there and we were mixing it and we were going through the tracks, and I was like, fuck, man, like first time like really happy and proud of something that I've written and that's out there, and I still feel like that about it now.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, I know it's really like sort of, it's really easy for me to say it, but you should be really proud of it, because it's really excellent. And yeah, no, I really mean that. Yeah, and I feel that feeling as well. I have that feeling about everything I've ever made. I have that feeling of like, oh, I fucking hate this, or like I can't enjoy this, or whatever, you know. And there's loads of that, and it's a kind of a bit of a double-edged sword of being a creative, isn't it? That like whatever you make will never be right.
And I think if you were the guy that thought everything was amazing, then it's probably 99.9% shit. Because if you're into that mind frame and you think you're the fucking best at everything, generally your mind's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And like I've met people that think they're fucking amazing, and then you watch them play, and they've, like, we were going back to that soul and honesty thing. They've just got nothing. It's just been like blown up from an ego, and
Yeah.
it's not like my thing, man. I can see when people really really love what they do, and I think you need to have that side, that self doubt and confidence, because then you're pushing yourself as well, and you're growing, and you're thinking about it, man. You can't just like pick up a guitar and make a song and then get it out and it's fucking awesome. But people do that and they think that and they fucking ride off it, but it's just not for me, man. Like,
Do you think that's a British thing? Because I went to America and we stayed in an Airbnb, and I was like talking about something that I did in my band, and this guy, and I went, oh, I don't know, I was a bit of a downer about something, and he went, oh, what's, you know, he just like nailing into me, and I just went, well, I'd rather be a bit down and like have someone enjoy it and go, that's really good, than go, oh, I'm really good, and then someone go, you're shit.
that's it. And it puts people off as well, man. I think some people, because of like my personality, I'm quite a shy person, like I said before, and I think people they like see you in this way, and they're like, fuck yeah, this guy does this, and like,
Yeah.
and then coupled with looking at you looking like you're moody as shit, which is just my general face, and not really talking, they think you're arrogant or something. It's just like,
Yeah.
but then if you spend 5 minutes with someone, then they're like, oh, I thought you were like going to be well up your own ass, but you're actually really nice. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I think go off the back of that, it's like, that's what I try to do, is spend that bit of time with someone that appreciates my music, and it goes a long way, man. Especially if you want to tour and you want to make an impression. You can't just go to a place think you're fucking awesome and then get back on your little transit, which in your mind's a fucking like nightliner, and then no one's gonna remember you. But if you sit and play Nintendo fucking Mario Kart with someone until 4 in the morning and drink some beers with them and talk to them like we're talking now, then they're like, it's as much about the people behind the music, I think, that people really want to invest in as much as the music.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Penn or Teller that said you can't change how you do a show, but you can change people's opinion of you afterwards. So like just like hanging out and just doing those things, and I'm so guilty of not doing that at times, because I you know, you finish a show and you go, I got to drive home, I got to pack down. Like you're gonna be gone in an hour, and I still got all this crap to do. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and I love nothing more when I go and watch a band to go and say hello and chat to some people. And there's musicians and people that I've gone up to and spoke to after gigs, and they haven't got 5 minutes, they haven't got 2 seconds to talk to you, and you just go,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
what's the thing? Because
like, and you're like, there's bigger bands or whatever, and you like go and watch them, and then you're like, fuck, I get to speak to him, and then you're like, oh, he's a fucking asshole, and like, makes you like not like the band a little bit after. You're like, no, I'm not gonna listen to your album after you just blanked me or whatever. But yeah, it's true, man.
Yeah, you can really change people, can't you? You know, with just a little bit of your time.
Like, it's hard for me to accept, but like, I've inspired a lot of people that, and they openly tell me that, and it's just like, shit, like, if I can do that with my music and then spend a bit of time with them, and like, there's people in America and Ireland that have started doing their own thing, like, and their own thing similar to mine, just because they've seen I could do it, and they were like, fuck, that's a really good idea, and then they've got that sort of mindset, and it's really cool, like, to be able to do that, man. Like, and I think, yeah, spending that extra bit of time with someone, even if you are tired, because I was guilty of it as well, man. And then when I was playing like 200 shows a year, I was doing like going tours across the whole of Europe. By the time you get like 4 weeks in, you just don't want to do that. But then you wake up.
You just have to do it, don't you?
You wake up the next morning like a little bit more like absolutely dead, and then by the end of it, you're just like, your face is different. You look like a totally different person. You go and sleep for like 4 days, and you're back on it again. But yeah, I'd love to just keep touring, but it's just not financially viable unless you're at a standard where, you know, you're getting booked for it. And generally, once you get to that stage, booking agents want to get you, but you don't even need them. So like, you only get the offers from the booking agents when you don't need them anymore. Like in my like experience, anyway.
Yeah.
It was just I know I'm in a little sweet spot, and I know I'm appreciated in some like with some people and music groups, and it's like I feel successful in that way, and like yeah, I'm pretty proud of the fact that like for instance we're sat here because you listen to my music, and that's like going back to what we said at the beginning about this connection that you can have, and that's like what it's all about, man. That's what's the addictive part of playing music is, like for me. And there's also loads of other cool things that come along with it, but that's like the essentials of it, in my opinion. It's just what makes it really magical and makes it really addictive.
Yeah, it's a like I think from about 14 years old, I'm 37. From about 14 years old, I think I probably played the first gig I ever played where I played with a group of my friends, and I think that was the turning point, and I just was like, I want to do this forever.
Yeah, man.
And I remember thinking, like, even till fairly recently, it's like I would do all of this for free. You know, I'd just be quite happy to do it all. It's it is harder when you make it when it becomes like a proper job, but yeah, there's something really soul nourishing about making your own music and doing that sort of stuff. Is there any? Have you got any plans for like another album, or
Yeah.
what are you hoping to do next?
So I want to make another album, and just try and work out how to play those live.
Yeah,
And I want to do it the same way I did my last album, which was recorded at PMC in Plymouth with a guy called Doc, who was a guy that I had a lot to do with when I was growing up playing in bands. So I recorded it there, and I didn't take anything like solid to record. I just had a couple of riffs, and then I set up the drums in one room, the bass and the guitar in the studio room, and just laid down ideas and then played off myself. And I wanted to do that in a short period of time, so we had 4 days to do 10 songs.
yeah, which is a hell of a workload, isn't it?
Yeah, but it came together, man, and it just flowed. It was like all these little things in your mind and pieces and stuff just all slotted together, and it's like I can't explain the thought process behind it, but that's like I said, I sat there when it was all mixed and mastered, and I could hear it objectively like a piece of music, and I'm really proud of it. So it's like that's the process for me, I think, is to do it in the moment, which is, like I said, the same way I play gigs. So it's like I think I'm quite a spontaneous musician. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna make another album. It may not be until early next year because of money and just time, and you know what it's like, man. The older you get, the fucking quicker the year goes. It's mad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that. And then I don't look for shows anymore, but I accept shows. So if anybody wants to put me on or whatever, then get in contact. But yeah, just do whatever shows I can, but generally I try and pick a little bit of the, you know what it's like after you gig, you know that like some little show in a pub in Barnstable that's going to take you 4 hours to get there, and there's no guaranteed thing, is probably not like, but yeah, I did Arctangent Festival again last year. I did a little South America tour of Argentina and Santiago, which was kind of like a festival that asked me. And then I realised I had quite a big following in South America, so I want to go back out there again. I want to go back to France and some other places in Europe, but the older I get and the less time I have, the harder it seems to actually be able to do, but I'm still open to it. So yeah, I just want to play as many shows as I can, make a new album, maybe try and get into film and media, like we were saying before, and just keep just doing what I'm doing, man. I can't really stop.
No, it's great. I mean, I love. It's so hard to kind of keep going and make new stuff, and it's just financially always a real trouble. And I really hope it becomes a little easier for you. Do you do any of that at your home, or not really?
No, I don't. I don't practice or do anything, man. To be honest, I don't. I only play music when I'm about to play a gig or recording. Which, I mean, it's not like I don't try. It just doesn't happen. I'll set up all my stuff. I'll sit there and I'll start playing the same old things, and then I'll get frustrated and put it all away. And it's like that happens every time I play. Like, and sometimes if I'm playing with a friend or something, like Phoenix from Haunt the Woods, occasionally we'll have a jam, and I'll be like, "Fucking hell, I'm doing this awesome stuff, and I've made something new." And then I go home and I just don't remember it. So it's like, it's weird. I can't really explain where all the material comes from, or it just kind of happens.
Pops out. Yeah. And do you get writer's block at all, or not really? Because you don't. You just sort of do it on the.
Because a lot of it's set in like 4 bars, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like I start the song, I loop it, and then it's like, oh, that's a section, and to be honest, if I'm like, I don't know how to go to another section, I'll just play that section in reverse. And you've probably seen that, like, and it's like, oh shit, it's like a new arrangement of the notes that sound different, and it can like transfer you into another section. But I rely heavily on drums. I'm confident with drums. I've got to the point as a musician, as a drummer, that whatever I think in my mind, I can just straight out do. And I think a lot of people that play different instruments are at that level. Whereas guitar and bass, it's not really something I can do. It's not like I don't know where all the scales are, or I don't have any theory behind it. I don't really with drums, but it's such a natural thing for me now that I can just map it out onto the drums straight away. So it's good that I have that. That's like the bit that I feel is my safe zone, and then the rest of it's kind of just trying it out. And if it's not what you expected it to be, then you just whack with it and go with it, because generally you're playing in front of some people or something. Which is I talk to people and they can't seem to understand how that works, but it just does for me, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a normal way of playing music live, and I guess I've just not got a normal way of getting to that point either.
I did some looping, and it's like one of the most terrifying forms of music, isn't it? Because when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong, and it's like potentially it's a lot of stuff going in, and if you get a bad loop, I mean, you're very good at. Like I saw some things go wrong, and to be honest, I was like, oh, I've clocked that's gone wrong, but actually, you didn't. You just played through and just sorted it out, or fixed it in a way which was like. You have to do that. You have to just keep playing. But like, if it was me, it would be like, sorry everybody, I gotta stop.
Start again.
Start again. Yeah.
I think people like to see that it goes wrong sometimes as well, like the human side of it, because you can play gigs and it's just spot on, and like it's just how you feel at the time, or how it's the energy and stuff. But when it does go wrong, people are like, oh yeah, it went wrong, but then when you made it right, it was like even better or something. Like, I could see it was wrong, but then you like started playing that note a little bit too late, and then you were drumming the same, and it like became its own thing again. So yeah, I think people get quite in the mindset of like everything's got to be note perfect, and if not, then you have to stop it, or you have to you have to publicly shame the band member that made the mistake or whatever. Because it's just real, isn't it? Like just do it, and people understand, and people generally find it quite entertaining anyway. People are like, I don't know how you do it, man. You're like slipping out of time, and then like you do a filling, and then you land back on time, and I don't understand it. It's like I don't know either, man. Like I can't tell you what I'm doing. But like people like that shit as much as they like it to be note perfect. I think the audiences are a lot more like lenient than you give them credit for, I think, a lot of the time. It's interesting.
I think if you're competent enough, you can make it right, can't you? I think it's like for me, it was just definitely a thing of like incompetence rather than it would break it for me. But no, it's
weird, man. Yeah, like you can do something and then it totally knocks all your confidence, and then you're there like you can see your legs shaking, and you're like, Jesus. And that's part of the fun of it as well. It's like never knowing how things are going to pan out, but
I sort of play in a very like the band we play in. It's because you've got 7 of us. It's like if something goes wrong, you just get this feeling of like this is like an uneasiness on the stage.
Yeah.
You just know it's like shit. How are we gonna get this right? And it's often me that gets it wrong. And yeah, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. But so do you love that like being on your own? Is that your favourite way to play, or would you rather have other people to play with? Is this
It's
like
my
a
favorite way, but it makes me. I'm like, even though the songs are varied and different, I'm still in my own little like sweet spot. And then it's actually really nice to play with other people because it makes you do play in a different way, or like, so I do miss that and I do enjoy that, but like I do think that just playing on my own, and that's like almost the selling point of my whole act. It's like, oh, he does it on his own, and a lot of people are like, oh, I heard this music, I was like, this band are really cool, and I came in and it was just you, and it's just like, I love
yeah
that. Like, I love that appeal that it has to people, and I think, and I also like not having to cut my money by
yeah
like, not that it's about money, but like you don't want to be driving somewhere and spending 80 quid and getting back 20 quid. Like, I mean, you do it, but then you can't keep doing it, like I'm sure you know. So it's like, yeah, I love doing it on my own. It gets a bit lonely when you're out touring and stuff, but also it challenges yourself to be a bit more confident in yourself and reach out for help when you need it, and
yeah
build bonds and relationships with people, and trust people that say they're going to do something for you, and then you go there and then they do it for you, or they don't, or they fuck it up completely, but they say sorry, and you have like 20 beers, and you know, like, it's just that it's fun, man. Like, it's scary, it's fucking a bit, yeah. We could do another podcast on weird stories of me touring and what situations I've got into, but it's also like, yeah, it's where I want to be with it. I like being on my own and doing it on my own. I like get a lot of, I guess, validation out of like doing that on my own. But yeah, I would if I had time, I'd like to play in other bands too.
Yeah, I
Occasionally,
think you'd be excellent in another. Like I love your solo stuff, but I always just imagine like what you would bring to a band. It would be like
yeah,
excellent. Yeah, you'd be a great member of a band.
yeah, it would be.
Um,
I mean, I've done it. I've done bands, obviously, and it was always really good fun. I'll link you some of my stuff from years ago with this band, Elliot Wellboy.
yeah,
But yeah, if I had the time, I would. Me and Phoenix jam sometimes, and that turns into some cool stuff. But yeah, I think it's just my thing, just being on my own,
yeah,
just the underdog in my little
yeah.
like, hatchback. I got Honda Jazz now. I've downgraded from the Golf. Turn up in that, and everyone just laughs at me and my 16-inch bass drum and my ME50.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Fuck you guys.
And that's it. That's just me, man.
Yeah, it terrifies me and excites me because it's the dream, isn't it? I mean, it's like, well, it's a dream. It's and I love hearing like all that stuff about like touring around the world on your own. I mean, it's amazing. You know, it must be absolutely terrifying, but
What?
also
I like slept in my car in the middle of nowhere and fucking got in all sorts of weird things, but then for somehow I'd end up like playing on top of like Mont Blanc and fucking like the French Alps and like
yeah,
just all these weird crazy things. I don't know if it's people felt sorry for me. I was on my own and they're like, do this, come and do this. But
yeah,
one was led to another, and then it can take you to some really amazing places, man, and meet some really amazing people.
yeah.
Meet some really good friends like who ask me back, and you know, they remember you and they bond with you, and then yeah, it's cool, dude.
The I when I moved to Plymouth, I kind of had that feeling where I just went out on my own. I just did open mics, and I just met like Joe Biddle and like Alex Jones and Azza and all the Plymouth crew.
Yeah.
And like you know, I didn't really know anybody, and I had that experience. But it was only like in Plymouth. I hadn't travelled around the world to do it, but it was
Same, man. Same
yeah.
in everywhere else too.
Yeah, yeah, but it was that feeling of like just meeting new people and being out on your own and doing your thing. It was really, still feels to me like one of those times that was really powerful and evocative and changed my music journey for the better. You know, it was really really positive. Look, I know you've probably got to go. Where can people find your music?
Spotify, Bandcamp, iTunes, all of like the streaming platforms, YouTube. If you want to go on my Facebook, it's Steve Strong Music. I do have an Instagram, but I'm pretty shit at using it, which is Steve Strong Music as well.
Cool.
But yeah, there's bits everywhere. Just
Brilliant.
Google, and it'll all come in under one page.
Yeah.
And a slur called Steve Strong from the 80s, Sadistic Steve Strong. He'll be there as well if you Google it.
Yeah, lovely. All right, Steve, thank you so much for taking your time out, and yeah, it's been great to chat, and we will catch up again. This has been the Noise Filter podcast. We will speak to you again. Cheers.
Cheerio.